Mr. Deputy Speaker, in my speech today, I will cover two areas. First, the onset of competition on its merits and demerits, and B, the concerns that I have on the proposed amendments, namely Section 60A 1A and 60A 1B. First, let me cover point A, that is the onset of competition on its merits and demerits. Singapore professes and practices an open economy, and its market is more or less driven by market forces. This should lead to healthy competition. It is believed that an open market with healthy competition will lead to competitive price offer to consumer. A healthy competition would also weed out the non-performers, non-productive and non-competitive business players and retailers will automatically be driven out of the marketplace. New players will emerge and offer a more competitive product. Thus, a cycle of elimination repeats. Like the law of the jungle, the survival of the fittest seems to be the rule of the day. Thus, overall, the outcome should benefit the consumer, and price offer will reach its optimum and settle to an equilibrium. That is, low enough for consumer to benefit and high enough for business owners and retailers to profit. It is an ideal case where competition is doing its job. While we can see this from the consumer standpoint, which is positive as consumers stand to benefit from this scenario, there also lies the dark side to this so-called healthy competition. Open competition resulted in many traditional and typical Papa and Mama retail shops being squeezed out from the traditional home ground, that is, the heartlands, with the influx of retail giants into the heartlands. This has caused a lot of unhappiness with small business owners. While open competition has taken its natural course, its impact can be devastating for some whose income may solely depend on this traditional business. Perhaps I would like to ask the Ministry, while crafting future amendment to our Competition Act, we might want to revisit on how we can protect and preserve our traditional business. Just like when we have an act to protect and preserve some old buildings and monuments, we might want to do the same for some of our traditional businesses. I am certain that we will be able to strike a balance between keeping our traditional businesses afloat and opening our market towards open competition. Apart from the traditional and typical neighborhood retailers, our small and medium-sized enterprises, in short called SMEs, are also facing stiff competition from global overseas players. This is inevitable as we have an open market which is riding on the global economy. While there are merits to this chosen framework, the impact on the local scene is devastating for some. Again, the survival of the fittest will weed out the smaller players more often than not, that our SMEs and small business retailers will be the victims of such onslaught. Our SME are our key workforce driver, providing more than 60% of jobs to our local workforce. As they play, it is imperative that our SMEs are protected as they play a key role in our nation's economic growth. While we advocate and practice open competition, we must be mindful of the impact it may bring if it brings along with it negative impact which is detrimental to our nation's economy. While I'm not against open competition, which can be healthy, we should and must try to assure some level of assurance to our SMEs and small retailers that due consideration are given to them in this competitive environment. This delicate situation needs to be intelligently considered, as we would also like our SMEs to be able to benefit from the global market. Vice versa, our SMEs will automatically be faced with competition at home from overseas competitors. As reciprocity is expected, if we are to be given the opportunity to explore into overseas market. As such, just like mentioned before, it would be wise, I think, if we revisit our Competition Act to consider this aspect towards our local SMEs and small retail businesses when making future amendments. I hope the relevant ministry will be able to consider this suggestion. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in a free market economy which we adhere to, the market forces should determine the market trajectory itself. Expansion and collapse of business entities are left very much to market forces and individual business decisions. While there could be instances of bailout situations, perhaps due to extreme and detrimental cases, more or less private business entities decide on their course of action. Merger and acquisitions may be one of the inorganic growth strategies undertaken by private business entities in trying to expand their business in the market. However, if left unchecked and unmonitored, the impact of mergers and acquisition can be detrimental. Having gone through personally through 3 merger acquisitions events during my career, I have witnessed both the upside and downside of M&A. While it is expected to bring positive end results for business in an M&A, more often than not, the downside will be on the restructuring process, which will most probably result in manpower redundancy. More worrying is the impact to the market after a merger and acquisition on competition. Will the result of a particular merger and acquisition make the competition healthier, which results in a better situation for the customers and end consumers? If yes, then it's deemed as a good merger and acquisition. However, if otherwise, then this may result in unhealthy market situation, which is not preferred. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in such unhealthy case, it would be wise that some sort of regulation and monitoring mechanism to be put in place so as to ensure that a merger and acquisition will not result in such situation. Therefore, the Competition Act and its amendment that is being put in place is highly welcome. It is important to note that while we would like to regulate, it must not stifle the open market framework with the aim towards healthy competition for the larger benefit to the consumer. Thus, the Competition Act and its proposed amendments are welcome, as it is intended to ensure the healthy competition landscape is being safeguarded. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to go to the point B of the 15 proposed changes to the Competition Act made through the Competition Amendment Bill. I would like to highlight significant amendments that are sections 60A(1)A and 60A(1)B. These provisions empower the Commission to accept commitments for cases involving agreements, decisions, or concerted practices that may have the object or effect of preventing, restricting, or distorting competition within Singapore, or conduct on the part of one or more undertakings that may amount to abuse of a dominant position in any market in Singapore, in addition to the current power to accept commitments for mergers which may result in a substantial lessening of competition within Singapore. My question is, does this mean that the Commission can still decide that the merger is prohibited under Section 57 after giving advice to the contrary earlier? Take note, Section 57 states that the party to an anticipated merger must notify the Commission and apply to it for a decision. The Commission will then decide if such a merger is lawful. And also note the difference between an advice under Section 55A and a decision under Section 57. Mr. Deputy Speaker, another point which I'd like to highlight is the proposed amendment in Clause 7A. Currently, the Commission may only require companies to undertake commitments for the provision under Section 54. With the replacement by the new Section 60A(1)A and 60A(1)B, this will allow the Commission to require and accept from companies a commitment where they have been found to restrict competition under Section 34, and require and accept from companies a commitment where they have been found to abuse their dominant position in the market under Section 47. Here's my next question. Will this make it easier for companies to bypass the competition law now that commitments may be accepted with respect to all provisions of the original Act? Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I would like to hear from Ministry if the above questions I pose are valid and correct. Could the Ministry share some light on this matter? A healthy competition is expected to benefit consumer by and large. As mentioned earlier, the outcome of healthy competition should reach an optimum offer to consumer and settle to an equilibrium low enough for consumer to benefit and enough for business owners and retailers to profit. It is an ideal case where competition is doing its job. Therefore, it is imperative that we should strive to achieve a healthy competition scenario, striking a balance between an open and free market economy against a regimented one. Like many situations, an acceptable and optimum condition can only be achieved if the surrounding parameters are monitored and managed. The Competition Act and its amendment is intended to do so. With that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, notwithstanding the comments and suggestions I made, I support the bill.